Chapel Hill native Keith Siegel was released by Hamas 2 weeks ago after being held hostage for more than 480 days in Gaza. Siegel's sister, Lucy Siegel, lives in Durham. Today, we spoke with her about the fear and anxiety they both endured and their joy in being reunited after he was finally freed.
I didn't allow myself to go to a negative place of fear, anxiety, negativity. I chose not to do that.
For Lucy Siegel, that was her way of coping. For her brother Keith, it was how he survived. Survived for 484 days as a hostage of Hamas.
Torture, abuse, lack of water, lack of food, lack of sanitation, being kept in the dark, not knowing what tomorrow would bring, what that evening would bring.
Hamas released Keith on Saturday, February 1st. 2 days later, Lucy and her husband were on a plane to Israel, and the reunion is hard for her to put into words.
Just tears of joy when his children got to hug him.
It was during that reunion that Keith told Lucy how he was able to push through the fear, the pain, and the uncertainty.
Most of the time, Keith was not allowed to speak. If he was given permission, it had to be a whisper. He said he would start with our mother, and he'd have a conversation. So primarily, these conversations were to himself in his head.
Imaginary conversations with his loved ones, including his wife Aviva, who had also been a hostage but was released in the early weeks of the war, and with his children, and also with Lucy. Hamas moved Keith from location to location more than 30 times, each a dark room and always with guards. But Lucy says he also had a way to keep track of time.
Each day, throughout the day, that he would repeat to himself the day of the week, the month, the day of the month, and the year, over and over and over.
Keith and Lucy's mother died in December of last year at the age of 97. She never knew that her Keith was a hostage. Lucy says that's a decision she and her 2 other brothers made and don't regret.
I have a daughter, and I can't imagine anything worse than losing a child.
A decision Keith himself was glad they made. Now, after an unimaginable ordeal, Keith and his family are ready to move forward, and they continue to live with more hope than fear.
So I struggle. I try to stay on the side of there are people who care in this world, and they do love, and they do want a future for all.
And Keith and Aviva are now living on the kibbutz in Israel, where Aviva moved following her release. Lucy says Keith hopes to return to North Carolina for a visit at some point.